Hi, I'm all set up here for my third game of Waning, Crescent, Shattered Cross. I've actually turned the map around, so things are upside down, as it were. But because this is my third game, so I've been playing sitting at that edge, but the Ottomans actually come in from this direction, unless of course they're bringing in sort of some naval attacks into these blue lined zones. So I thought something I sometimes do is turn the board around to get a different perspective upon the game, and this might help the Ottomans because it might give me some sort of fresh ideas about how to go about things. They've lost in the last two games, and they've been unlucky rather, in both of them, and I'm wondering how it's going to go in this game. So it's the usual setup for the full scenario, and we're going to 20 turns. Christians have set up all their forces, and something I've done completely different is I've completely ignored Medina, because I realised it doesn't affect the victory level of either side, so they can both safely ignore that. There may be something that I've forgotten and missed, and it might affect some other things, but for example when the relief comes in and such. But for now, neither of them are concerned about that, so they both made the decision to leave it. The Christians, I made the decision with the Christians first, because I thought, we don't actually need to hold Medina to for any of our victory levels, so we will leave it. And when the Ottomans saw that, they checked theirs and realised they don't need to take it except for their highest victory level, and they'd be quite happy just with a reasonable victory rather than they'd be quite happy with a strategic victory rather than a decisive victory. And in fact, they don't even need it for decisive victory. Yeah, so both sides can safely ignore it for their victory conditions at least. What the Christians have done is their standard thing, at least their standard thing that I do is I put a knight and maybe a sergeant in the middle, because then they have powerful support to everyone around them, and then weaker units, generally men-at-arms and the levies, or rather the Maltese, around the edge. So these top ones are armed locals, and the others are mercenaries and men-at-arms. And what the Christian has opted to do this time is they've got at least 2 units in every stack, except for one there. I ran out of units, and they put the weaker units on top. Now there's no looking underneath opponents' stacks, so that's to confuse the Ottomans as to what's underneath. They won't know. And actually they've sort of equalled it all out except for here. There's essentially, these are all, it's kind of pretty obvious, it's all 2 men-at-arms and 2 Maltese, except for there, it's just lots of Maltese, no men-at-arms. So that's a weak spot, but the Ottomans won't know that. Then another thing they've done is the Christians, they debated whether to defend Sanglia, and they decided to, in the end, purely to protect the bridge of boats here, because again they don't need Sanglia for they only need it for their decisive victory. The Ottomans need it even for a strategic victory, but the Christians thought, well, we might just concentrate everybody in these 3 points. I keep talking about these 2 separate, but in certain ways they are one, but in other ways they are separate. But anyways, in the end they decided to defend it, but shush, don't tell the Ottomans. It's quite weakly defended, so there's no men-at-arms in those walls, but they do have a backup of some decent knights there. And then I placed some sergeants here. I was debating whether to place them on this side, but if I place them here, the point being that if all of these troops are wiped out, this is still counted as friendly to the Christians because there's some fellows right at the far end, which means that the Ottomans would have to play an action to move every tactical zone. Instead, if the Ottomans took all of these defenders out and there was no one back here, then this whole area would be friendly with them and they could move right the way across in one action. So that's a delaying tactic. You can see I've popped someone here. I was going to have another person there, but again they're doing the same thing here just in case all of these are wiped out. It's not really going to happen. They're in place. Now this was interesting because I debated for a minute whether to leave hardly anyone in there or leave it empty. And actually I've just noticed I haven't got my customary knight in the middle. I stuck him on the bridge. I'm going to stick him in the middle. I think that's sensible. I'd really like to have a sergeant in there as well, but I've opted to defend this quite heavily. So yeah, we were thinking, shall we leave fellows out of there, and then they can move in, as this is assaulted, they can move up, because as long as St. Elmo's held, there will be no naval assaults, so there will be no way for the Ottomans to get to St. Angelo, so potentially that could be empty unless I've missed something, perhaps a card play, but I don't think so. But then in the end I decided no, I will leave it. That's why. So I left it kind of lightishly defended, because it would cost the Christians actions to move stacks there, so it would only be one action per stack, but you can see 1, 2, well, you could have a big stack and sort of drop units off as you move around, but it would cost something to move units back there, so they thought, okay, we'll leave them there so we know that's safe. We can move the knight back if we have to. And then they've got the sort of strongest, still not amazingly strong, see it's 2 men-at-arms, then 4 Maltese on top, then 2 sergeants and 2 knights there. That's the defence, and there's interesting choices as Christian fences. You have to look at the connections, because for example, I think that's clear, this tactical zone, you can't quite see it in the light, it's actually connected from that tactical zone, so units there can support to there and there, but this one cannot support, say, to over there. This one can support to there and to over to there, but then that one would need support because these are all the front line, so I needed fellows there as well. And the Christians, they don't have enough to do everything unless, like they did, denuded that, and I don't know, maybe it was silly to put them there, but it was the point was I think I was a bit frightened by leaving it completely empty, and then when I put 1 or 2 in it, I thought, well, there's no point in defending 1 or 2 points on the walls, because obviously, say St. Elmo goes and suddenly quickly the Ottomans play a naval attack and I have nothing, no one on a wall within the blue line, then they can get straight up in there. So I either had to leave it completely empty really, or give it some decent defence, at least some defence. So I opted for that. We'll see how it goes. The Ottomans have all of these and these at start. Actually, these are all here in the Ottoman camp, and these 2 cards are here. Shouldn't be here, but essentially, so each side starts with 2 cards, and then which they always start with, and then 6 random draws, and the Christians are delighted because they've already got 2 of the Advance Relief Force Imminent cards, which is wonderful. That's 2 out of 8, so they're already a quarter of a way to bringing on their reinforcements, which are small at the moment, but they will increase every turn. Okay, so I think we are ready for play. Oh, and last thing I perhaps should mention is that I drew randomly strategy card 3, so it's the same strategy as last turn. Ottomans focus on St. Angelo, but something is teaching me that, I mean, the Ottomans, their honour went right down to 0 the last game. Now they would lose three honour if they don't take St. Angelo. That's this one. They need a certain level of honour for to gain a decent victory. So it's, I don't know, they do need to do it. And I think the Ottoman strategy is going to be to ignore Sanglia. Like last time they went through Sanglia and into here, they ignored St. Elmo. They're just going to go straight through there. So I think the Ottomans this time are going to ignore that, go straight in. Now it's a bit difficult as a solo player to retain the level of bluff, because obviously in a two-player game, as the Ottomans, I might send forces over here, or hold some forces back in the camp, so the Christian doesn't know, are they going here, are they going to come down here, are they being held for a naval attack, because I could naval attack here before St. Elmo falls. But on the other hand, so I can't really uphold that bluff, but it might be sensible anyway for the Ottoman to put forces, I don't know, if not in the camp, not left behind in the camp, sort of hovering, so that the Christian cannot just withdraw these into here to defend here. So it's, you know, it's the classic kind of tactics that we know and love. So I'm just going to have a little look at the cards before I finish the video, maybe with some final thoughts, tactics. So the Ottomans always start with these two cards, and so the question is, do the Ottomans play this? And there's a chance that the Christians lose a few SPs and maybe some morale. So that's probably always good. It may only be played during the first week. I think that's always going to be good to play as a chance, unless you desperately want it for an action. And for that you'd have to have sort of something quite definite up your sleeve. You know, you'd have to say, right, I need to go there, do that, and that, because you have 6 random cards and these 2, so you'd need to have 8 actions lined up, or at least 7 to want to consume that otherwise. And then this one is played as a reaction to the Christian card. So the Christian starts with these 2. These are for the St. Elmo reinforcements, so it enables you to send units from there to there, and also vice versa, units and supplies. And then the other card is played in reaction to any Ottoman card. So the Ottoman player starts, so at any point, and again it has to be played during week 1, you can just, so probably like the first Ottoman player, the Christian go right, bang. The Ottomans land again to Fila Bay, which is over here, and I've got this in the way, but the main map action's happening down here. So if the Christian says, okay, you landed quite far away, you've got a long way to go to get to us, which gives them a chance to remove some breaches. And it also might stop the Ottomans from starting any sort of definite assault in the first week. So that's a delaying tactic, very helpful for Christians. Again, you probably definitely want to play that, but if a Christian does play that, then the Ottoman could immediately play that as reaction, and it could cancel that out. So that's just sort of random little flip-flops at the beginning. Then what else do the Ottomans have? So they have hero and spires. So that's not the illustration. That's from shining through from the back to the front of the card that I stuck this on. So it's a combat sort of benefit. Can be played as a combat action. This is for a Christian event. So the Ottomans will use that as an action. And that seeing as there's going to be no action in this game in Medina, that's not going to be used as an event. Now that's nice for the Ottomans to have. They will use it as an action because they're not allowed to retain these in their hand at the end of the turn. If they did, they would just stockpile 4 or even just stockpile one of them, and the Christians would never get their reinforcements. This is a great little card, so it makes your rain up for either side. Most of the cards that have an effect, you have a die roll, and often 8 to 10 is no effect. So it's never certain, you might be wasting an action. This means it returns to play, so that always comes back at the end of a week. This one does not have such a thing, so if you employ that as an event, it's your choice whether it automatically returns to play. You could, as the Ottoman player, he could put it here, which is his optional return to play, and then at the end of the week he might send that back to the deck, or he might hold it back for some reason. Now that's nice of the Ottomans. I'd like to use a siege tower, I haven't done it yet. They've got another one of those, so at least they know that. They're probably thinking, aha, that's good, so the Christians won't have any of those. The Christians got 2 as well. That's just how it came out, this game. Honestly, I do shuffle my cards. I actually dispersed these throughout the deck and shuffled the deck after that, but they all seem to have clustered together. So possibly we could use that first turn, the first week. I think what will happen is that these we will hold in our hand, so we'll probably do that, keep that as a reaction to Christian card, keep that, and these 2 they will be of benefit to us later. That gives us 3 to play immediately that we don't need as actions, which essentially just means we're going to bring on a force here. 1, 2, 3. It's a bit slow moving until you've got your lines in. We might put 1, 2, 3 different forces, or we'll see. Probably, yeah. Anyway, so and then the Christians, what did they have? So this one always returns to play. It's a combat card. It's a reaction. It can be played as a regular event in reaction to scaling. So that would be interesting in combination with the siege tower. You play that during a scaling attempt, and the Christians might throw some incendiaries down upon you. You can actually use it versus a breach as well. That's interesting. I haven't played that as an event yet, so that would be nice. Now this Christian prisoners tortured sounds a bit gruesome for the Christians, but it's actually of benefit to them because there's a tortured card. I can't remember what the effect of it, but in this one that they're tortured, but they give disinformation. Interesting. So the Christians are going to want to keep that and that until they come into some scraps. This is great for the Ottomans. The Ottomans want this a lot because basically you roll 1d10, and that's the amount of damage the mine does, and a wall can sustain 8 points of damage. So you might do hardly anything, or you might just
below the whole wall down at that section. And that's good, that's a combat card. So Christians are going to want to keep those three. It'd be quite tempting to keep that in the hand, to keep that away from the Ottomans, because there's only one of those. But chances are you'll never keep it indefinitely, because you're going to want the actions to use it as an action at some point. And then these two are going to be played as soon as. Okay, so that's our first turn set up. Judging by the cards. So I'll end this video here.